Hello and welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've been wondering for a while what to do with these Chinese elm rooted cuttings that Xavier sent me, and today I think I'm going to create some kind of group. As I was planning this video, I was thinking, is there enough material to make a video just about using this? And I thought, oh, I'll go and check on my honeysuckle and privet cuttings. And when I went outside, this was upside down. So I don't know how long it's been like that. But I'm also going to do something with these after I've done the Chinese elm. So let's have a look. I don't know anything about these other than Xavier said that these are rooted cuttings. Very kind of him to send them to me. There's a link to his channel below. Check him out. And if he's got some of these himself, which I presume he has, I'm going to kind of challenge Xavier to make one of these little forests himself. And so these are all nicely rooted together. They're almost in a clump as they are. But I do want to arrange that properly. So I'm not sure how best to go about this. I'm thinking just kind of get in with my fingers like this. And hopefully they just kind of, maybe a chopstick in there. Oh yeah, chopstick, just to kind of loosen that soil up. I don't want to damage the roots, obviously. It's like Christmas. I love it. Right. Now we're getting somewhere with this. Okay, we've got one twin trunk, a single one with a nice flat thick base, and two more singles. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these will make a great group, and my decision is what pot to put them in. So I want to put these in a proper bonsai pot. I don't want these to just develop as large trees, you know, although I love my large trees. I'm thinking, right, let's start with the biggest one that I've got. Something like that. That could work well. That'd give them lots of room to grow and expand. And I could have them clumped in the centre on like a mound in that. So it's a possibility. That's on the big side. Now this is lovely. This is a small one, obviously. But I love that colour. The only problem with that is, with this green, I kind of feel like it'd look like a bit much like a house plant, if you know what I mean. I want some contrast. So, although I love that colour, I don't think that works. Got another green. Now this green will match the leaves a bit closer when they're in full leaf, when they're properly growing really healthily. And that's quite nice. I do quite like that. That works well. And the last option is this, a blue one. I like it. I like that. The contrast of the green and the blue, you can imagine this when this is a full canopy. I like it, yeah. It's hard to explain why you like something, but I like this blue. It's a good size, so I'm going to put these in here. My next thing is, what sort of group or an arrangement do I want in this pot? 5 trees is quite a hard number to put together. Obviously one of them's a twin trunk. I could have 2 and a 3. And then 3. In fact, no. If I have the twin trunk here, along with a single tree, that kind of looks like a 3. And then I could have another 3 over this side with sort of a gap down the middle. But that might look a little bit too kind of arranged, if you know what I mean. I could just have the twin on its own there. And this side then, 1, 2, 3, would be a 4. No. 1 and a 5. Could be quite interesting. Or I can just put them all together and create one sort of clump. It's not necessarily as interesting, but I think it would look good with all of them in there. It's just that they're all quite thin, apart from that one that's got the definitely thicker trunk. Perhaps I could just grow that as a tree in its own right. And just make this group with this 4 trees, one of them being a twin trunk, obviously. So it's kind of like a 5. I like that. I'm going to go with that. And this will be just a separate tree on its own. First things first then. In with some scrim tape. And then on top of that, some bonsai soil. I reused the soil that Xavier sent me actually. It's already a bit damp because it's been outside, so it'll be a bit easier to work with these trees. Now, I do want them on a hill. Definitely want them on a hill, or to appear like they're on a hill. So, I'm just going to work them in. These roots do need cutting, so the very longest roots like that can go, just to make it sort of workable. We've got this one tree here that seems to be thicker than the others. It was planted quite deep in the soil, so I can remove some of those upper roots off, and we've got quite a nice root spread there. So if I just start off with, say that one there, and then we go for the twin trunk one. This needs just a couple of roots pruning off. So I think this one can come over this side. This one seems to lean away. That can go over there, like that. And I do really like the look of these groups when the outside trees lean away like this. It's very natural. I was looking at a clump of trees yesterday. I was out in the car, and because I was a passenger, I could see these trees, and there was a lovely little group, and the edge ones really splayed out. This one perhaps can come here. So although it is 4 trees, with that being the twin trunk, it kind of looks like 5 to me. So now what I can do is adjust the gaps between these trees, because these are just a bit too even. Now they're close, obviously. We've got a nice gap there. I think this one wants to be a little bit tighter. Just there, like that. And then a slightly bigger gap again to that. Yeah, I like that. And I won't be doing any pruning to this now. You can see they're in a line, so I'm not going for depth and forest look. I'm going for that sort of copse of trees on a hill. And I like it. Back to this tree now, and as I say, I really like it. It's got some really good potential. The roots are good, and so I'm just going to put this back in this pot. I've got one long root here, very long, and I don't want that to become too dominant, so I'm going to cut that back. Otherwise, that one will have the tendency to really develop much faster than the others, and I don't want that. And there we go. Thank you, Xav. This is a lovely tree, and I'm really excited about developing this. Okay, now I need to turn these out and see what I can make of these. These should come apart fairly easily. My first job is to separate the privet from the honeysuckle. So they do look quite similar. All the honeysuckle should all be on one side. Just get those weeds out of there. Right, so these are all honeysuckle over here. If you've never tried rooting honeysuckle, they're harder to not root than to root. I mean, you just stick them in and they go like crazy. Look at the roots on those. And these were just cuttings that I took last year, podged them together, and they've got great roots on them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to do something with those. And then privets, I did exactly the same thing. I just stuck them in the soil. The roots are not as vigorous on privets, but they're pretty good. So I've got 10 privets, and I'm going to start with these. I'm not sure what I'm doing with those honeysuckle yet. I'm not as keen on the honeysuckle, if I'm honest. So I'll put the honeysuckle to one side, and then let's do something with these privet. Pot-wise, I've got the same choices that I had. I'm not going to go into the garage. I've got a few more pots out there, but I'm going straight for this one. This green with the green privet, I've got a feeling will look really good. Why I want the green with the privet and I didn't want it with the elm, I'm not exactly sure. And no, again, I think that would be too light and not big enough. These are all basically the same size, apart from one that's a bit thicker than the others. I'm going to just put them in. This time though, I won't be putting them just in a line. I'll be putting them in a fully three-dimensional group because I've got enough of them to kind of fill the space. Nothing too technical about this. I kind of approach these the same way that I approach my silver birch forest, in that I like randomness to sort of take over. This is the thickest one here, so I will try and put that towards the front there. And then there's a weird one here. This weird one with a crazy top. That's not going to work. Got a bud there. So I'll just cut to that bud. I can go at the back. Got lovely roots, these, for creating this kind of group. They're just the right size. So there's lots of healthy growth on them, but they don't spread too far. And if I get the odd super long root, I'll just take that off. And first of all, it's just getting them all in. Get them all in. This is an odd one. Really odd. That needs cutting down. But I'll prune that later, at a later date. I don't want to remove the leaves off it now because there'll be no leaves left on that at all. So at the moment, they've all just gone in. Quite random. Or randomly. And this is the point where I need to start just looking overall at the group, how they sit together, and deciding where the trees are individually positioned, whether they look quite right. And I quite like how they are. The only problems for me are these two. These two here are sort of behind each other. So when you look from the front, I prefer them to be just a little bit apart, like that. Oh, I've just noticed this one at the back has had all of its bark stripped off. That must have been when it fell over. The pot's damaged it, so that won't survive that. However, what I can do is just make another cutting out of it and put that in, and that'll survive fine. But I've got enough here in this group anyway. That doesn't matter. Oh, I just found another one that must have dropped out. That's perfect. I wanted one more, so that can give me extra depth at the back, which is what's needed, I think. Yeah, that can go. This one can come forward a bit there. This one can fit nicely back there. So let's do a quick 360. I like them to look decent from all sides and all viewing points, but you do definitely, well, for me, I like there to be one primary view, which is here. And from here they do look very, very organised, but that's just from that one particular view. Perhaps I could do with squeezing some of them together a bit, just to take some of that order out. They look very, very orderly, too orderly. So I can adjust that by pushing those together there. And that just throws that sense of order out a bit. Yeah, that works. And you need to do that, because if it looks like, well, it kind of reminded me a bit like a piano keyboard. So again, and by having one slightly off straight as well, that also achieves the same effect. Yeah, so suddenly that doesn't look anything like as ordered, which I prefer. And now what to do with these honeysuckles? I've been at a bit of a loss what the plan for these is. I've got some really nice dwarf honeysuckles that I think are going to be great. I'm going to switch to just using those. They're just more interesting. They've got better leaves. These don't really have a lot going for them. They grow very straight. And I've been looking at them thinking, what do I do with those honeysuckles? And the answer for me is, let's go a bit of fusion. I know a lot of people don't really like fusion, but for something like this, it's just a really simple, that one's had all the bark stripped off it like that privet. Get rid of that. This is just a really simple way of combining material that I don't really want. I can just put it all together like this. That's super straight, this one, so that can go in the centre. I don't spend long on this. And you never know, by doing this technique, maybe I'll end up with something that I'm fond of. Who knows? So once they're all together there, I've got all the root bases level down here. All the trunks are together. I've done loads of this fusion stuff, so I'm feeling like a bit of a dab hand at it now. I'll just use the vet tape to really squeeze those trunks together at the base. While I'm doing this, I'll just talk a little bit about those groups that I just put together. I pretty much watch all of Nigel Saunders' videos. I like his production, I like his commentary, and I like watching him work on his trees. And he's obviously all clip and grow. As you know, I do a lot of wiring, but I do want to have a go at doing some purely clip and grow projects. And I think possibly the Chinese elm, but definitely that privet, I think they'll be ideal for me to hone my skills with. So look at that root base there. I'm not cutting any of those roots off. I want this to grow, and it'll certainly grow this year. They grow like crazy. I think this will fuse within a couple of years easy. Oh, should I go the full hog? Exposed root. You know, I love the saying, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's do it. We'll go around over the vet tape. In fact, I can put a couple of coils around that vet tape there just to help secure that in place. And then just work my way down over these upper roots. Make sure everything's pointing downwards. So I'll just get my chopstick and give them a bit of a scrape. This is like me doing my hair every morning, manicuring my long, beautiful locks. And then we just go around, form that basket. Basket of wire getting bigger as it goes down. And I'm not going all the way down with it. That'll be enough. Because I want then, at that point, I want the roots to flare out. Get some soil in there, piled up in a nice heap. Get a fully nice 360 radial spread there. Pull that down there like that onto that soil. Fill in all around it. And this has gone from something that I had no interest in, these honeysuckles really. I was like, who do I give them away to? I could take them down to the Bonsai Society, but probably nobody would want them. And I've gone from that to a project that I'm looking forward to. I mean, how great will it be revealing this? 12 months time, I can go in, take the wire off, look at all these roots. And this is a great way, by utilising multiple techniques of fusion combined with exposed root, and that's great. These roots in here, obviously they are roots, and what I need to do is surround those. For the time being, they need to be well covered with soil so that they don't dry out. Before you know it, these roots in the base of the pot will have spread and will support these trees easy, but at first this will just keep everything nice and moist. Considering I didn't know what the plan was for this tree, I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to be an exciting one over the coming months and years. I'll be updating you on all these projects, obviously, as things change and I need to start pruning them and that sort of stuff. But as always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.